At least 82 people are dead and dozens more still missing in south central Texas after massive amounts of rain over the holiday weekend brought devastating flash flooding.
Take a look at these images. Now you can see the sheer amount of destruction. The death toll is expected to rise as more of the 41 people known to be missing are found. Among the places hit hardest was Camp Mystic, a Christian girls' summer camp. 10 girls and a counselor are still missing as of Monday morning. Now, as cleanup is continuing, however, much of the attention is turning to the National Weather Service's forecast and warning systems, which Texas officials pointed to as the reason behind the high death toll. Here's Texas Emergency Management Chief W. Nim Kidd on Friday.
The original forecast that we received on Wednesday from the National Weather Service predicted 3 to 6 inches of rain in the Concho Valley and 4 to 8 inches of rain in the hill country. We worked with our own meteorologists to fine-tune that weather statement, and as many of you know, and many of you in broadcast journalism and meteorology, you can go back and look at your own forecast, and the amount of rain that fell in this specific location was never in any of those forecasts.
But the National Weather Service defended their forecast, saying in a statement to the Daily Beast, quote, on July 3rd, the NWS office in Austin, San Antonio, Texas, conducted forecast briefings for emergency management in the morning and issued a flood watch in the early afternoon. Flash flood warnings were also issued on the night of July 3rd and in the early morning of July 4th, giving preliminary lead times of more than 3 hours before flash flooding conditions occurred. Many on both sides of the political aisle have also pointed out the significant cuts made to the agency by the Department of Government Efficiency. The already understaffed agency lost about 600 staffers earlier this year, and in an internal memo, they said that that would result in degraded forecasts.
Even Elon Musk's social media-based AI chatbot Grok did make a connection between those cuts at NWS and the deadly consequences. In response to a question about Camp Mystic, Grok said Trump's 2025 cuts slash NOAA slash NWS funding by about 30% and staff by 17%, impairing forecast accuracy. Warnings underestimated rainfall, contributing to inadequate alerts for the flash floods that killed 24 and left about 24 Camp Mystic girls missing, presumed dead, in ongoing searches. Another user responded saying, damn, Grok just said, yep, Trump and Elon killed those girls. Grok responded again saying, not my words exactly, but close enough, and capped it off with facts over feelings.
Meantime, Trump is seemingly shifting the blame to the Biden administration. Here's what he had to say this weekend.
You look at that what a situation that all is, and that was really the Biden setup. That was not our setup, but I wouldn't blame Biden for it either. I would just say this is a 100-year catastrophe, and it's just so horrible to watch.
Well, it sounds like he said there that he would not blame Biden for it, nor would I blame anyone. It is simply, in my view, too soon to do anything of the sort. We haven't even finished the search for the victims. I hope they can be found still alive, although it is very concerning that that's not the case. This is a massive death toll. It's a horrifying tragedy for the community. Look, I am open, certainly, to the argument that this agency was cut too much and these cuts shouldn't have happened, and that impaired their efficiency, and that was a bad thing. It should also not be discounted that this could have been a once in 100-year tragedy that could have unfolded just like this, even with better warning, or that the fault was the coordination of the local people. We simply do not know yet. We should try to investigate and find out whether that's the case or not. I would be much more cautious rushing to blame, cuts, but I'm open to being persuaded that that's the reason this happened.
Mm-hmm. I mean, terrible tragedy,
it's just
obviously.
Terrible.
I mean,
so
appalling stuff, and the number of dead speaks for itself, really, and that girls' camp. I mean, some just terribly heartbreaking stories emerging from that and elsewhere that was hit by this flooding. The scale of the flash flood does seem very, very dramatic. I mean, this river rose by some frankly terrifying amount in a very short period of time. So, to that extent, I'm open to the argument that it is just a freak event, and perhaps there may not have been that much that could be done. I am also open to the counter-argument, which is the more political one, that these cuts did have an impact, because we mentioned in the introduction the staffing has changed considerably. Some Trump and Musk defenders have tried to take refuge in the idea that, oh well, some of these cuts are projected in following budget years. But as we said, I mean, I believe 550 is the figure of people who were already either laid off or chose to take early retirement in the midst of these cuts being threatened. That obviously is going to have some effect. Can we necessarily connect cause and effect in this particular case? Let's see what the evidence says. But the issue of the cuts is it plainly degrades the capacity of the National Weather Service and the broader agency of which it's a part to do their job in the way that they were previously doing it. That is going to have real human impact as we sadly experience apparently more of these severe weather events. And so it is absolutely valid to scrutinise the effects of those cuts and to scrutinise the extent to which they are having detrimental impacts on emergency preparedness. And just a final point, Robby, I mean, there is the point about whether the federal agency was communicating effectively with the local people, and that's obviously part of the story too.
Right. So there were significant, there were layoffs at the National Weather Service, although there were some news reports that they were hiring back a lot of the people that they laid off, which is not necessarily to the credit of the administration, that if you're that was the stupidest thing of all. Lay off a bunch of people and then find out, oh, we actually need these people and bring them back is just ridiculous. No one wants
which
to see
happened
that.
in a number of different
agencies.
agencies.
Which did happen, and I criticized it.
Yeah.
I am open to this, that maybe this is the important thing we have to spend more money on. I'm just a little worried or cognizant of being emotionally manipulated, that there's always some, oh, we can't cut this because this person will get hurt, or we can't cut this because this person will be hurt. Okay, but we're massively in debt. We don't take in enough revenue to afford the massive government we have. Something has to be cut. So I would want to look more closely at, well, what is this agency's funding levels and employment levels over time? Are we asking them, to make to operate with some historically unprecedented level of shortage, or is this merely the amount of people they had for this agency, 10 years ago or something? Did we actually cut their budget, or did we just cut their projected funding increase? These are all questions that often I think are not asked in media reports that are again, understandably, there's a terrible tragedy, so I'm trying to be very careful with my words here, and I'm certainly open to the fact that it could have been government failure because there was not enough funding, or for a variety of other reasons, or it could have been local failure, and they're going to be pointing fingers at each other. The local people are all going to say this is because we were improperly told by the feds, and the feds are going to say, no, we warned them. They had 3 hours worth of time to prepare. They just didn't do it effectively, and it is too soon to tell. Yeah,
the questions you raise are relevant ones, but there's no question that there were people laid off from this agency, so that's not in doubt. And I think that this agency does provide a genuinely important service, as we're seeing. And just finally, I mean, you were saying, well, we're massively in debt, so there have to be cuts made. They don't necessarily, of course. You could increase revenue by upping taxes and provide for services that way, which I would argue is the more equitable way of doing it.
It's a non-starter with me, but
there we go. Next up, Axios has dropped a Jeffrey Epstein investigation bombshell. See what the DOJ and FBI have concluded next.